where it is about clear rights. The difference, you see at the top where it says clear rights, color spectrum, which is only some rights, mixed with negative, with lies, with physical delusions. A species evidence fabrication method took over human education, and it's with proof. There are proofs of it not let. For the nature of this with logic, and as the nature of the branches. So there's clearly rights. This is the finite. This is the finite, going left to right. Then there's clear rights, which is groupthink, which is a question mark. This is in physics. That's observable. But metaphysics in correlation is why we need to understand what value I is, and what the religions are trying to defend about science against physical delusions being forced by sciences, and multi-front. And so this is what is clearly rights to individuals. We have this separated from what, for example, it's a crime to not have all Americans understand, which none understand. None are let to understand the legal nature roles with colonization's terror laws, to make false sides, and to make logics that are predatory to each other in relationship to natures of organized crime that none of the sides could understand the words to explain, because of its criminal insidiousness nature in relationship to natures of organized crime that modern nations weren't let realized, to honesty natures and the truth, and to being forced to entertain psychologies with physical delusions and with evidence fabrication roles in natures since before our founding. So what this does is this is teaching everybody to blame, like things like slavery, to blame it on each other and not on how medicine and how healthcare was juxtaposed to all areas with courts, and in relationship to the maintenance of what really is to the maintenance of intergang through time, predatory criminal justice system since before our founding, with prisons too, and with medicine, and with this as a nature, in other words, only let realized, trained, and then self-defended to logics with courts juxtaposed, pretending that they have laws telling them, actually having laws telling them to pretend that there's medical reasons are that why they're not talking, which is the real reason it begins, but then that's used for it maintains them to having to tell lies as trained in the background, and those are connected to more complicated natures of organized crime that the branches therefore of modern nations. Now they're self-defending themselves together as a nature with her as her conviction natures, as evidence fabrication natures top down, only let realize that way per mass, how everyone's been trained from campuses. This is not by accident. This was foreseen and was forced. Our founders didn't have free speech in this, to proofs that they're forced glorified in their forced extorted political theater states that they wanted us to explain, because what they did was only leverage means for us to explain it, to have free speech. We don't have it, and other nations don't have it either, and distinctly, and through what is maintaining every nation, evidence fabrication, a measured tool nature. Did I notice the theme with the exploited schools in the cities. You know, there's enough time. Real facts treatments, real evidence understands that we've failed. Human education did, and not by accident. You know, and it's the way they're doing studies and treating evidences, and treating the sciences. Real freedom demonstrates, if it has the time, predatory. Real science demonstrates that with real facts. So in other words, they're teaching people to fight for cultural rights, and that's pseudo positive, because now you're not defending real rights. Now there's all kinds of evidence fabrication methods between the phenomena of social the home, the nature of our area, suburban and urban, and then the only way people are being realized to psychologists to explain it is in relationship to color rights, because that's all the campus ever lets treated. They teach everything. Cross your hands and just respect who has a job. You know what I'm saying? And they're forcing the people who are the independent contractors like me and stuff like that. They're forcing, you know, they have a evidence fabrication method that everyone missed. Though the reason I have the phenomena of the experience to explain this, is because of recorded proofs of federal criminals with involvements as defendants with a former director of the FBI, and he had one of his co-defendants had a daughter in my grade, and had other co-defendants involved that had gone to jail for like pension theft and stuff. But there's a lot of stuff they've done with evidence fabrication roles and involved with like all kind of threats from people in a court, and that's even online and offline. And they have like intercultural police with the prison, with the campuses, with Trinity College and with Central Connecticut State University per them. And the same families, they have employments with the workers with the colleges. And you know, they have intercity uses with this in relationship to evidence fabrication roles between natures of our police agencies, and between natures of police that I need the names of, and it's getting hard to get the names of because there's so many. They wrote so many fake things in databases about me already, and they admitted it. And they're telling me to sue. But they don't follow the rules. Like, I've been to court a bunch of times because I got arrested by a bunch of police reports. Only one time I went to a school. I'd gone there before that, but no one told me not to come back. They were in the middle of a press conference. They didn't want to take. People with that school made confessions to me, and it was connected. In other words, everyone was making confessions at once because this was before a 2006 case with the former director of the FBI, defendant Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants with a Charlie LeConte and Dominic Lapriato. So they had roles with police forms spreading rumors about me with the drug cliques they had in the schools through the years. And then the people who never were my friend, they used to seek me out. Like there's a guy named Justin Klavinskis. I never saw him out one time in my life. Like every time he saw, we used to get in a fight in like public place, and it wasn't able, like, I didn't. I just got out of there. You know, I didn't do anything wrong. But that's what they used to do, try to get me arrested with the drug dealers who are with the police growing up. And it was them with like peripheral relationships to like police explorers and stuff like that. They have involved with their narratives. They use like the childhood gossip and stuff like that in relationship to what they have, illusions they have to the maintenance of themselves per their own needs ceded to them in relationship to federal investigations. And like if the president asks questions, they have to lie now because they put the things in the database. So this is the nature of organized crime. I'm not a police officer. I'm not a lawyer. That's why, and they have also demonstrated that they're actively obfuscating the ability of the attorney general to understand this, and pretending, God knows what they wrote in the databases already. Arrested me with a bunch of police reports for the same arrest. Then they were spreading rumors about me with people posting fake legal cases with some guy arrested with my name before I was even born. Then they were telling rumors about me through little kids in school, and playing 6 games through kids with people I know. People I don't want to go into my personal, it's none of their business. You know what I'm saying? God knows what they wrote. But I know that they have evidence fabrications too in relationship to this actively in another case then. Because they kept sending threats to me. And then some guy named Robert Rodriguez brought up a untimely death in relationship to all kinds of other confessions from all these strangers connected to the people who played these games when they were young. So there's a Kelly Kazmarek that keeps saying that her father is a CIA. I don't know what she's trying to imply by that, but she said that before I ever responded to any of them spreading rumors about me on Facebook. Like, in other words, pretending I was in conversations with people I don't even had anything to do with growing up. They just know I was in their school, and they have relationships to drugs in my area with the police through time. And all kinds of other natures of crime juxtapose. So they have the police forms, the fire department forms, the EMS forms, medical nature people, all slandering people to defend themselves in relationship to evidence fabrication roles that police use them for. They use wet witnesses, but no one ever sees the police report, so they don't even realize that they're faking the witnesses. They're writing things that the witnesses didn't even say. I have affidavits proving this. I have all kinds of means to prove this, but they're not letting me address the facts that first, which were their threats in the court. With the last case, when I was threatened, I went to the school. They had a doctor. I mean, they had a police officer say I was in a hospital that he used to work at. I was never in their hospital. And this guy had pretended to have conversations with me. I never did. He just walked up to us because they had to give us another a police report at the last second in the court. And they're giving it to my family members. They're not talking to me directly. And then they were directed not to. In other words, they admitted they had a bunch of falsified police reports. They kept saying, they just had a charge on it that was the same every time, but there was no writing with it. And they kept having different narratives in the background with their voice only, and not directly to me. So I can't respond to it. And then because they're switching names inside the court and stuff like that, because a court investigator told them to do that. Then they lied to the judge, and they applied with the judges. And then there's so many judges involved, I don't know the name because we kept going back. Then they have people in the hallway involved with it. Because people from my school were involved with this through time, because before these federal criminals associated with the former director of the FBI, Defendant Robert Luskin, in a related case. And they have all kinds of other federal criminals like bookies, Shylocks, and stuff like that, who were in one part of the 2006 case. They attached me to fake conversations about this too. And this court has been, I had to write a complaint against a Judge Smith with this court when I was a little kid. He was spreading rumors with me, the same thing. This is before those guys were arrested for bookmaking and stuff like that. They had one guy used to go on we own the world, like selling cocaine and stuff on job sites and stuff like that. Hartford grew up like this, with police forms juxtaposed since before our nation. That's the important thing to understand. See, no one understands this, so they blame it on other things. The thing to understand is colonization's forced markets positions. To understand this, we have to understand the Mashantucket Pequot Tribal Museum's memory of shared policing natures, executive natures of nations, only realized as peace because in relationship to what was extorting the kings and queens. The only nations were only realized as animals after the Dark Ages and before the Dark Ages, because they took over human education to take human convictions and to exploit ancient revelations perpetually through time to have nations self-defending roles as evidence fabrication natures. So they have like a pattern now, for example, with exploited urban schools. First of all, money has nothing to do with it, because once we as long as we have a school, right? If there's a need, especially in an exploited area, then judges demonstrably common sense, that they have to give relief. They should give reliefs. In other words, and plus, but the way they're not doing it is because we have statutes that are predatory in relationship to the roles of healthcare with the nature of the courts juxtaposed, and with their nature of the treatments of the facts and of language. So they don't talk when people come into the courtroom when they're and what they do, and they have known juxtapositions of organized crime gangs in our areas, which are very small, square in relationship to like there's about 300 something streets in Hartford. In Wethersfield, there's less. We're all right on top of each other. West Hartford, Windsor. These, through time, we have to understand America in truth as a sequence nature. So they denatured the Mashantucket Pequot and the Mohegan and the other Native American tribes. First they divided them, but they didn't let that on the record. So we have scientists now playing cute games with facts treatments, pretending, oh, well, this is scientific. They have physical delusions in relationship to what is scientific. So, and they have criminal insidiousness needs with the relation of fact treatments in relationship to other exploitations, actually upon youth and elderly in all areas of Connecticut, especially regarding, for example, these kids being elite, the pattern of them being led into the school. They pick out people from the community and they have them clap and walk in there and stuff like that. See, they have these movements like this for nothing. That's pseudo-positive. And in fact, in relationship, when you're really dealing with what's the problem here, that's an imposition on the kids. You know what I'm saying? Those aren't even the... So we have to understand too. Like, for example, the California schools, they show about how they have the drug problems they can't fix and stuff, because they're trying to beat it out of innocence, and they're making hurt innocence. Once they get a little bit older, then this international criminal commodity market system thing, they denatured the Native American landscape to force everyone into an ulterior from natural value nature system, to force the food commodity system, to force all value nature system to guys in suits. You know what I'm saying? To guys, GUISE. So in suits and dresses too. They have. That's why American women didn't have the right to vote until the 1920s. They had all these Civil Rights Act violations that we're not describing properly, because we're not describing the nature of the roles of them with our complex litigation directors, like defendant Robert Luskin in the 2006 case, and his roles with police forms, acts of corruption and confessions in relationship to strangers who made related and then verified online confessions regarding relating body dumpings and untimely deaths in the pattern of them spreading rumors that I was talking about the CIA, and I didn't react until I saw the pattern of which ones, and they're connected too to the people with confessions about doing drugs with a detective Dylan, who I've never had a conversation with. I had an affidavit about a young kid, a stranger, who approached me. He only knew me from one time making a car in Tiger Cubs, which is like before Cub Scouts, and it was, I didn't even do it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't into it. So, but they direct narratives through time in relationship to criminal industry needs that we don't understand. No, uncharged natures of organized crime that we don't understand, that our branches fail to understand. There are proofs also, just like we have habeas corpus in Latin laws juxtaposed with English language. We need there is also that we need to understand what saved English, which is about algebra, real algebra, which I call algebraic consciousness, proper treatment of facts. For example, when you're treating cultural rights, that's only pseudo-positive. Now you're forcing everyone to be represented by someone just because they have the same color skin as them. That's wrong. Then, and not only is that wrong, it's furthering criminal insidiousness. You know, really sick nature's normalized through kids and through the elderly, and so we have to understand what originally made mass serial killer hurt conviction natures. This was a method. This is not natural humanity. This is only natural because of humanity with criminal persuasions that are legalized with education and with the nature of the branches only realized train this way. And hurt too. So the hurt want to hurt, you know, and they have to defend the hurt because a lot of people are getting hurt. So there are odds. And then in relationship to medical, we don't have we have these. We have to get them out of our hospitals too. There's so many physical delusions with psychology. For example, about identity. We have to understand, thank God, English is demonstrably revealed to teach ancient sciences. For example, that's why the predicate is named the predicate with English. And the predicate act is named the predicate act with the law. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a police form. This is in relationship to natures of organized crime that America began with, that in other words, where they couldn't find the words. They weren't let to be of natures to find the words to describe the roles of terror with our branches still compromised. So they weren't let we weren't let to understand it because the decipher our founders used with us is not being understood because of the nature of the organized crime that maintains campuses juxtaposed as a legalized one, while it's unrealized, measuring evidence fabrication natures to all areas. So, for example, if you defend pseudo-positives with groups with the schools, now you have to defend that position in relationship to facts treatments. So now you're with the people who have to lie in relationship to what's been justifying improper schools, in relationship to our criminal justice in effect and crime statistics and their treatments and all kinds of ills. Just not worse than just go. Pretend insidiously, pretended right not. In other words, someone's got to stand up for clear rights. Clear rights. No one has done that, and that's a big problem. So we need free speech defended outside of jails, which habeas corpus, they have this habeas certiorari and things like that. You can write this from outside of jails per per proofs. You know, I'm not a lawyer, but they know that. But then it's so rarely done because it's like almost impossible. And basically, it is impossible because of the nature that of the branches that the nations are defending of each nation to these shared originally shared policing natures and all that goes with it, and with the evidence fabrication methods maintained through the healthcare. That's why we have such a big problem with these drugs and with these prescription drugs. God help us. You know, these people are sick with these drugs. They're just writing whatever per them, and they have sick conjunctions with the streets. And what they do, then they start a fight, and they blame the other people for this stuff first. They, you know, I never had anything to do with these prescription drugs or any of these stuff. I know that those people used to sell drugs and had roles with it, or at least, and had their friends make confessions to me. I don't even know these people who wrote stuff about me. In other words, you can't even make a police report in this country, and they're on the television every day. Report stuff if you know about it. But they, you know, they have physical delusions. They want to keep police forms to one side and keep them lying and pretending they have the right to lie where they don't. In other words, there's laws against people lying about CIA and there's laws against people. Obviously, you can't pretend the CIA. You use the CIA to spread rumors about people. And then that's tied to the school bullying narratives, which is not school bullying. It's healthcare corruption, it's drug corruption, it's gang corruption right in our schools, right through our branches, interbranch families. See, they get seeded into narratives in relationships differently for different reasons. They all have to trash other people's characters who they don't even know because they played punk fronts when they were kids. With the relationship to the people in the schools with the databases, there are proofs of this too. Then there's this guy, Justin Klavinskis and his wife. So he says that she's now part of his KKK family. Like, in other words, I don't owe these people anything because they approached me with confessions in the past. I never sought them out one time in my life. You know what I'm saying? And in other words, these are people involved with exploitations of these people of these schools in Hartford. And the way they're doing it is in relationship to a nature of organized crime that needs those people defending guises, clapping hands when the kids go into school. They're to the maintenance of all kinds of natures of crime right through these schools, and with the impressions of these kids in relationship to the interbranch families, per recorded proofs. But we don't have facts being allowed treated because they're too hard to deal with. People don't know how to deal with it because it's not just the director of the FBI, former director of the FBI, attached to the people with the rape threats. Even online, they confessed were connected to the written Superior Court and ERICKNERR. He admitted to he demonstrated spreading rumors, pretending lies about me, intercity, in through the media, and online, and I don't even know who he is. I know the same name, Michael Kerr, is involved in this through time, per recorded proofs, and other people in my area too tied to this. to the same case they were pretending was me. Joe Aiello said that when he was posting the same case, pretending I was some guy who got arrested, some guy who was arrested before I was born, and he was slandering me too online. He's involved with the threats too. In other words, we have bad people, but we have bad branches, so we have nowhere to make a police report. We need an app. I'll donate this app to, and what we need is a means like I'll donate a game for the branches and for the president to fix, to own it, to just use art. You know what I mean? Use real clear rights. Don't understand. We have to understand right now. We have to understand the legal nature, the tactical nature, the methods with and why they put colors into the game as people's rights, like red and black and white, and then who did that was really legal natures, and what made them evil like that was really human education, with natures of crime or with causes of it that even kings and queens didn't understand. So chiefs and presidents didn't understand, because first they had them drawn to retreats. So what's that mean? It means that all the time that the Native Americans were here before 1492, they had education, they had foodstuffs, not hunter and gathering. They had massive quality that we don't have today, and they didn't even have machines. They couldn't even direct the waters and stuff like that. Stuff we have, they did it other ways. They had, so what they did was denature the American landscape, and like they denatured the rest of the world. The Native Americans were the last to fall. This landscape was the last to fall with them. Their education, and while their education fell, they were being measured and cultivated, being hurt and forced to blame it on other things. Then it gets so complicated. Everyone's defending a lot of psychologies that are predatory to even the chiefs, their own tribes. I'm saying after, because everyone gets scared. Then it becomes just the white man. The white man did it. The whites were slaves too, and then it was a method consciously measuring evidence, cultivating and propagating to cultivate through time, unrealized hurt, conviction natures to all areas as breaching armies, the nations in self-defense of natures only capable of staying evidence fabrication roles with what is international breaching method, and evidence fabrication method to all areas, and means to coordinate motivations for that with the actors of our branches through time, through our intercity campuses, per recorded proofs. So and then they won't put anything in writing, and they switch names, and they have people on police reports with switching narratives about on the new police report attached to their roles with threats against the kids and against the I'm not going to go into the specifics because it was recorded. You know what I'm saying? I tried to talk about facts that were recorded. This Robert Rodriguez brought up an untimely death in relationship to other related police drug confessions from an Enzo Fienzo, also connected to politics in town, and and demonstrations of them trying to extort a relative I had who tried to run for politics, and they played games with their roles with the per them, with Los Solitos, spreading rumors about people through them, about me. I don't have nothing to do with them in my life. I only know them. Fred Grisey said that. I met Fred Grisey. He said that they were involved with the Weathersfield police chief evidence fabricating with them, with their little clique there, and uh, some Delaferro brothers, like 3, 4 times I met them, and then like 2 times tried to start a fight with me. Like once from bleachers, and once in a prom thing. And they made confessions about his father. Made confessions, said that they have a judge in their family. They used to do bookmaking, and like the only time I know them up close, they make confessions to me right after involved in my project about when I first met this guy, Frederick Cruz. He was selling drugs, but he was going to another school, and he was making confessions about this stuff. And he lived on the top side of the school, of the high school. He agreed to do a video presentation before and after of him smoking weed, and I handed it in. So, and for my health class. But see, that's how too. Then they got the KKK narratives in it, and they have all these gangs juxtaposed with police pretending to go after and being trained to go after physical delusions about what criminal enterprises are. I'm not a lawyer, but this is demonstrable in relationship to treatments of facts when you try to show about how the nature of the lies with our agencies and with our agencies actors are attached to criminal motivations and needs to lie insidiously about the finite and overall to all areas. Like when that's why they were trying. That was all about the extortion of the free speech of our leaders. Like when the FBI said, "Oh, they can lie, but other people can't." They're playing games because they're holding the nature of the public opinions and of the nature of opinions of people in mass. They're holding them evil. You know what I mean? So they're trying to set up the presidents as bait. You know what I mean? In relationship to a criminal international problem with uncharged with the campuses and with prisons and with medicine, in relationship to evidence fabrication methods by this, because it takes the nature of the way they talk and gives them excuse not to talk, and then they have other uncharged criminal persuasions not to talk and just to pretend that's the business of the court, because that's the way the law is that they're saying. So we don't have free speech allowed because they have evidence fabrication, motivations, and methods. So, and the only way we can address it is because they have, when you try to address it, they bring offensive charges with no writing. And after confessions they already had from people with dismissal of other cases, then they changed it and said it was a nollie regarding the falsified police reports admitted, and then they refused to answer one question or let me talk at all. The only response I got was that a court investigator had told them to do that, and they admitted to this. So we have problems, and we have to have address clear rights. So if the branches allow me, I'll donate the game, and the branches, and we'll make a way where we could monetize fighting the only way that hurts no one. And this has to be, we have to admit where we were wrong, and we have to admit that while not, see, if we're trying to talk about ourselves and become honest with other nations, we can't do it if our nation, through campus positions and nature of our stewards, is being forced to play these punk games with the pseudo, in other words, like calling Vladimir Putin names and stuff like that. He's just a politician. He's one guy. You understand? But they have hurt conviction nature, method, common, shared by all nations, by our species, is ill. Real law understands that we are a species because the unchanging nature of positive is unchanging beyond our control one way. And it is unchanging beyond our control as individuals in the nature of what is positive. And this is in demonstration to us with the value of with body values, which are metaphysical, which is inherent to what is metaphysical, which is the only lasting value nature system. This is the fruit of the tree of life. Is what is inherent to consciousness, because what is inherent to consciousness is also the nature that holds the bond to all temporary value nature matter. It is also the only value of our identity that is wanted that lasts. Otherwise, we're a relationship to it that lasts as a complete memory of God. This is my theory. In other words, we have semi-memory because this consciousness is not ours. Only our identity, as a quality of diffusion, as positive, maintained here. So for the expansion of unchanging positive's nature, and when it's not that, it's forced from here, leth of IDs, because the same inherent positive to all is shared. And so not only does humanity share only one positive identity, it's the same positive identity is shared by the rest of nature. So, but instead of forcing evolution by being its nature, we're now nature other. So we're forcing negative value nature progressions, leth of IDs. And this stays progressively so, because we only have now to be the nature with our acts and as our quality of diffusion, which is back to overall volume here. That is a value, unchanging value to unchanging space nature's positive identity. And when it's not that anymore, it doesn't flux. It pushes it. The only thing that could flux is if we change being neutral to it being pushed away, because we're on negative value nature systems. So what this nature of nations wants to do is punish individuals for this, even cultivate them to not understand the impositions upon nature, and blame them for polluting and stuff like that. That's what the Sioux are saying now with the flooded forest. The flooded forest is about. It's not just the pipe. Like if that pipe breaks, it's the quality. It's not just the quality too. It's the nature with it of all kinds of uncharged natures of organized crime that can't be trusted. And not only can they not be trusted, it's demonstrable. We know that these pipes like that, they could break and things like that could happen. They could be sabotaged. And then there's no backup for it. They're just putting a cheap pipe through there. And then if they do put it, even with a great backup, how's that change the nature of what they're trying to reveal with the flooded forest, which is evolution? They're trying to bring out what clear rights. When clear rights come out, then all kinds of potentials. Then the Native Americans can see their dreams. Right now, we have to read each other's dreams. No one can see their dreams because they're all assaulted by forced logics, trains of logic and of questioning, being predatory to actual reason. So they say extreme Islam. They're in position, counter position. They're in positions with ISIS when they say this in the media, because this is in relationship to a multi-front. This is originally what juxtaposed internation organized crimes here, and with forced with terror laws, the infrastructural standards we have today, top down, forcing negative value nature progressions, because they knew they'd be blamed on other things to all areas, and they'd invest people to all kinds of industries reliant upon this being pretended normal or being pretended positive value nature. There is no way that this is positive value nature. So, no one deserves to live in urban cities with the water underground. So it's the native right. American rights are clear rights, and we have to make it in this order. But we have to understand too what we're going to do for urban impositions, and we have to refer to them as urban impositions because now we're talking about clear rights. We're not playing the game that the legal natures that wanted us to play was saying that, oh well, the urban rights are black rights or Hispanic rights or something. It's human rights. See, then they can't lie to us. You understand? They can't. Then we could see. We'll see right away. If anyone starts dealing with facts and stops defending pseudo positives and these halfway movements, especially ones that are thematic state to state, like nothing, standing in front and clapping, putting people that aren't even with the school, telling them business leaders. They're in they're out of their minds with what business is. Business is yet free.